Hi everybody. Yeah, okay, I'm trying out this new camera. It's great. Wow. Okay, not used to holding it. All right. So today what I want to do is a home studio example. This is the way you could set up a studio in your own home using your dining room table and tools that you can get on Amazon or borrow from the kitchen. So this is a really accessible way to set up a studio. So welcome. My name's Karin on Lifestyle and or Karin on Lifestyle, and welcome to my video series on pottery and hand building with ceramic clay. Thanks. Hey guys, you won't be able to see my face here, but the most important thing is to be able to see the table. So let's kind of go over some of the tools that I have laid out here that might be helpful in a home studio. First of all, underneath all of this, I have a piece of birch, and it is 1/4 inch birch plywood that I had cut at my home improvement store. They will cut this for you. You can buy an 8, just a big sheet and have several of them cut up, which I did. It makes it really easy. This gives you a nice big work surface to work on, and at the same time it's easily put away. The second thing that I have are paint sticks, rulers that have been broken up, different things to help me measure the thickness of my clay. I want to make sure that I get my clay rolled out to this thickness or this thickness, depending on what you want. You can also get dowels. These are wonderful for putting, and they come in various sizes. This I used to roll out, actually. This is a handy tool that I made. It's just, here again, a broken piece of ruler with a couple of eraser ends. I just cut a pink pearl eraser in half. And it's wonderful for setting. You've got a piece of clay rolled out, and you want to measure your clay. This is a wonderful way to just kind of put the measuring stick on top of your clay and measure out what you've got going on. This, of course, is your wire to cut the clay. This comes in almost any kit that you buy. You can also, many potters make their own out of telephone wire and a couple of washers. You can do the same there. I usually keep my tools in either cups or pots that I made, or bowls, because it's just easier to keep track of things. This is a metal rib that comes also in all the kits that I will list on the information below. And it doesn't have any, it's the one that we use to smooth out the clay. This one, you can see that, has little pointy things on it, and this you can use to slip or score your clay for when you're slipping and scoring and putting together edges. This is a Kemper tool that is a very flexible rubber tool that can be used. It's typically used in throwing. However, it is a nice tool to have even if you're hand building. A couple of the other tools that I always keep around are several paint brushes. These are wonderful brushes that are sold for putting on glazes. It's another wonderful brush. There's a lot of different shaping tools that you can get. Here's several shaping tools. I should put this behind a black so you can see it. This is a kit you can actually get, and I'm not sure Amazon has this particular kit, but I've linked several of them below. You can kind of see the shaping tools to, a little better, what they look like against this black background. This has a little bit of a, kind of a, I think I may have cut those out. Anyway, you can use tools and cut out any shape on your wooden tools you'd like. These are wonderful because they have this cutting edge so that you can cut leather hard clay. And there's some with points on them, like this and this, some that are circular. There's also tools that look a great deal like dental tools. And if you know a dentist, you might be able to get some of those. They're carving tools. This one is a hole maker. It has two different ends on it. These are just wonderful little wooden dowels with points on them to help you shape your clay. Here again is another shaper. This brush is wonderful for when you're slipping and scoring. A lot of times I'll have a little bowl of slip sitting there that's already mixed up, and I'll use this brush to just paint the slip on to my piece. Then we have several different knives that you can use. Many of these come in the kits. This is a fettling knife, more shaping tools, more shaping tools. These knives come in different sizes, and they will be marked in the description as to what size they are. You can sharpen these. Clearly this one's been sharpened. This is a pin tool. You'll need at least one of these. I have 2 or 3 of them because I'm always setting them down and losing them. This is a wonderful tool here. I'm not sure you can see it, but it has it's a metal tool with little brush-like things on it. And this also can be used to score the clay for putting seams together. So this is kind of a nice little kit. They have lots of different kits, and like I said, I'll link them below. This tool is used to scrape away leather hard clay. It's got like almost a grater on here. These pieces of fine mesh, and they get more flexible as you use them, and you can get them wet. They're not metal. They're made out of, I'm not sure what they're made out of, but it's kind of a plasticky material that gets very... Then of course you'll want to have several sponges. This is a texture tool. I don't know whether you can see the texture on here, but this is a bamboo texture tool. They sell these as well. You can also use a stamp that you've find in the craft store or that you have made. I use marine rope a lot to help prop up pieces of clay. I use this particular size on a platter that I make, and I put this around that little bitty edge. That it's not a very big edge, it's just a small edged platter, and I'll set this rope underneath it so that it helps it stay in one place. Another nice tool, and they sell these. This is just a piece of, it's stronger than pumice. It's like a ceramic. It's very hard, and what it will do is it will take the bumps off the bottom of a piece. For instance, if you've got a clay piece that it's very rough on the bottom, sometimes you can get that from using your sponge too much. Ooh, there's a little rough spot there. I took it right off. This is a great tool. You can find these in craft stores. I'm not sure Amazon kits have them, but it's a wonderful tool. You might be able to get something like this in the tile section of the hardware store, guys that do tile grouting and, kitchen remodeling. Cheese graters work great for taking the edge or beveling your clay. They also make ones that are angled specifically for that job. I always keep a bucket of water, just a plain bucket of water. I always keep newspaper or a torn up paper bag around to set the water on. Many times styrofoam egg cartons work great for keeping slip in or if you're mixing glazes. So a lot of these tools you can see are pretty homemade stuff. The other thing that's good to keep around is a big car wash sponge like this. Helps you keep your surface clean. Here's the top for this. And the other thing that's really great to have is just a Lazy Susan. This is like the nice Simpo banding wheel that I have in the studio, but for home use I just use a plain old Lazy Susan. It raises your work a little bit and allows you to move the piece, and one would always want to set a piece of newspaper or a torn up paper bag or something on here to make sure that the clay does not stick to the wood, because it will stick to the wood. This is a finished wood, that's why. If it were unfinished wood, it probably wouldn't stick to it at all. But it's a finished wood. So you can either take the finish off the Lazy Susan or use a piece of newspaper. But it allows you to turn your work and trim it or do whatever you want without having to pick it up or to move around. So here I'm getting started with my project. I'm going to make a simple baker with some handles on it, show how to perfect the seams inside and just sort of finish off a piece. It's a nice way to show an actual project in the home studio. Since this is unfinished bamboo, I don't have to worry about my bottom sticking to it. And now I'm going to roll out a piece from this clay here to go around. And I think I want to do one continuous piece. So I'm just using a dressmaker's tape here to sort of ballpark how much I want, because rolling it out with 10-inch and 6-inch, I had too many seams and I didn't care for it. So I've got 27 inches here. That's going to be the round part of this. So I doubt if I can get 27 inches out of this piece of clay, this one, but I might be able to get close. Let's see. I don't need it to be very wide, and I can use the clay's own weight to help it get longer. Now I've wedged this clay, so there's going to be some air bubbles in here that we're going to have to get out. I'm going to swing the clay a little bit. I'm going to cause it to elongate. Getting pretty close. And remember, the reason that we flip the clay a lot is because clay doesn't have any oil like Pito does. Therefore, it's not going to slide as well on the birch as Pito would, because Pito has oil in it and it gives it some slipperiness. I bet you we've got 27 inches here. Remember, I'm only going to make it, there's 17. Nope, not quite. How much thickness do I have left? Not much. Let's see if we can get this out just a little more. All right. I'm going to give it a try. This just cleans off the act of aligning the crystals in the clay also helps to stretch it a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. Got a couple of air holes, but really not, or bubbles. I'm really not going to cut over there though. So, okay, so the camera, you can't really see the, yeah, okay. So we're going to start right up here with our needle tool. And remember, it's not going to need to be exact. There's a lot of... So now, I'm going to try and move the clay up just a little bit. Even my bench at the studio isn't this tall, so... Okay, so what have I got? I bet I've got 27 inches there. Lazy Susan with my cutting board. All right, let's see what I've got. Oh, gobs and gobs of clay. Okay, so now I'm just going to form this side around the piece, and I have to think about where do I want my seam. I'm the kind of person that sort of likes to have the seam showing. I sort of, this is kind of cool. The way I'm going to adjust my seam, or cut my seams here, is I'm going to put them together sort of at the spot where I want them to be. And then I'm going to take my knife and cut right where I want the seam to be. Okay, take off this piece and this piece, and then you can see that those are going to go together almost perfectly. Now, what we're going to do here is slip and score. You've heard other potters talk about that. I don't do a lot of it if I don't have to, if the clay is very wet. But in this case, we have to. We can use this tool to make little marks on the clay on both sides. Always do both sides. And then I have my little paintbrush that I use here. And I just put a little water. You can use water that's had clay dissolved in it, or just plain water. Everybody has their own ideas, but if you rub a brush that's wet onto clay, that milky substance that you get is called slip. So that is slip. And you can dissolve clay in a bowl. I'm going to move this just a little closer to me and sort of just push those together. Perfect. And I'm going to just barely undercut this edge so that there's a tiny bit of space, sort of negative space in here. And it's going to make the piece sit much better. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Okay, I've made my coils. There really wasn't room on the table to show you. I'm going to take some slip, and this is just water mixed with a tiny bit of scrap clay, and I'm just going to brush just the inside of this. I don't really need to score it, because the clay's pretty wet still. But I really want to make sure that this has some moisture in it. And then I've made these coils, and I'm just going to pat this into the corner. And this handle that I've just made here is pretty thick. If you look at it, it's over 1/2 inch. That is not a good thing. You do not want to have that much clay. It's too thick. So what you can do is just cut some of the clay out. Okay guys, so now I want to put these handles on. So I've made them, and they've got a little hollow piece in here, and I've sort of bent them. Now I need to put them on the sides. Okay guys, there it is. We've got our baker. We did it in our home studio here, and it's not too big a mess. One thing I forgot to tell you guys, when you're doing your home studio, don't use the sink. If you run your clay down your sink and you do it a lot, it will build up in the little P-trap part, and it'll clog your sink. So always be aware that clay does not run through. It's very heavy and it will settle on the bottom of your plumbing. So always use a bucket of water and throw the water in the yard. Clay is dirt, so it won't hurt your plants, it won't hurt your grass. So find a little place in the back of the garden and dump your water, your clay water there, but don't run it down your sink unless you have one of the proprietary pieces of plumbing that go under your sink to help trap the clay. So please subscribe, and you can see the rest of the series if you hit the notification button, and that way every time I upload a video in this series you'll get notified and then you can watch the new one. So thanks very much. Please subscribe and share to all your friends. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.